Imagine for a moment the subtle, almost invisible movements that occur every time you bend your knee, take a step, or stand from a chair. After 50, many of us begin to notice a quiet friction in these movements, a heaviness, a slight discomfort, perhaps a twinge of pain that was never there before. These sensations are not random, they are messages from the body. They often signal that one of the most important stabilizers of the knee, the vastus medialis oblique, or VMO, has weakened or lost its ability to communicate efficiently with the nervous system. This muscle, tucked along the inner part of the thigh, may be small and often overlooked, but it carries immense responsibility. It guides the kneecap into alignment, supports the joint during daily activity, and absorbs forces that might otherwise stress cartilage and ligaments. When it underperforms, the knee begins to drift subtly during motion. That drift, imperceptible in its early stages, can gradually create tension, instability, and pain, until even simple activities like climbing stairs or walking on uneven surfaces feel challenging. The first keynote is to understand that knee pain after 50 is rarely the result of wear alone, it is often the consequence of underused and undertrained stabilizing muscles. The quadriceps as a whole are important, but the VMO plays a specific, precision role. It is responsible for medial tracking of the patella, ensuring the kneecap moves along the groove of the femur in a controlled manner. Without it, the alignment of the knee shifts, forces concentrate unevenly, and irritation of surrounding tissue can follow. Many older adults are encouraged to walk or perform general leg strengthening, but these approaches, while valuable for overall health, do not target the VMO specifically. Walking alone, for instance, primarily engages the larger, more obvious muscles, the rectus femoris, vastus lateralis, and gluteals, while the subtle, precise contraction of the VMO may be overlooked. This explains why some people remain active, yet continue to experience knee discomfort, swelling, or a persistent feeling of weakness. Beyond anatomy, there is a neurological component to consider. Muscles do not operate in isolation. They act under the direction of the nervous system, which coordinates timing, force, and sequencing. When the VMO is underused, the brain loses confidence in its capacity to stabilize the knee. The nervous system adapts by recruiting compensatory muscles or increasing tension elsewhere, which often results in fatigue, stiffness, or altered gait patterns. Over time, these compensations can reinforce imbalances rather than correcting them. Targeted activation of the VMO, therefore, is not simply a matter of contracting a muscle, it is about retraining the nervous system to recognize and trust that this stabilizer can perform its role reliably, restoring both alignment and confidence in movement. The physiological benefits of this muscle's proper activation are also profound. Engaging the VMO strengthens the connection between thigh and knee, redistributes mechanical forces across the joint, and reduces unnecessary pressure on cartilage and ligaments. This redistribution of load is particularly important for aging joints, which are more vulnerable to overuse injuries or degeneration. Even subtle improvements in patellar tracking can translate into noticeable reductions in discomfort during daily activity. Over time, this leads not only to decreased pain, but also to improved functional mobility, allowing for more fluid transitions from sitting to standing, more confident steps on stairs, and a reduction in the compensatory patterns that make walking feel unstable or tiring. There is also a reflective dimension to this understanding. Many people assume that joint pain is an inevitable marker of aging, a fixed limitation beyond personal control. Yet the body is remarkably adaptable, even after 50. Small, precise exercises that awaken the VMO do not merely build visible muscle, they restore coordination, re-establish alignment, and remind the nervous system that the knee can move predictably and safely. Each contraction is an act of communication, a conversation between mind and body that reteaches the joint how to function optimally. In this way, the first keynote is as much about awareness as it is about strength, the realization that within the body lies the capacity to reclaim control over a joint that may have begun to feel fragile, and that careful, mindful engagement can transform perception, stability, and ultimately the lived experience of movement. The second keynote focuses on the critical principle of timing and coordination, which is often overlooked when we think about strengthening the knee. After 50, it is common to assume that building visible muscle mass or increasing overall leg strength is the key to reducing knee pain, but the reality is far more nuanced. The knee functions as a hinge, relying on precise communication between the quadriceps, the VMO in particular, and the supporting stabilizers around the hip, ankle, and core. When these muscles do not fire in perfect timing, even small movements can place uneven stress on the joint. Over years of daily activity, this subtle misalignment gradually contributes to discomfort, stiffness, and instability. The second keynote, therefore, emphasizes not just contraction of the muscle, but the deliberate sequencing and coordination that ensures the VMO supports the knee exactly when it is needed. Timing matters because the VMO is not just a muscle that produces force, it is a guide that directs the kneecap along its natural groove. When it engages slightly too late or too early, the patella drifts outward, creating friction against the femur and uneven pressure on surrounding ligaments. These misalignments are usually imperceptible in the moment but accumulate over time, resulting in irritation and the persistent sensation of a knee that doesn't track right. Targeted exercises performed with mindful attention retrain the muscle to fire in precise synchrony with the rest of the quadriceps. Each repetition becomes a lesson for the nervous system, teaching the brain exactly how to coordinate force, timing, and movement so that the knee receives support at the exact instant it is required. This principle also highlights the difference between effort and effectiveness. Many older adults try to strengthen their legs by performing repetitive squats, lunges, or walking, yet these approaches often fail to challenge the VMO in isolation or teach it to fire at the right moment. Strength alone, without precise activation, cannot correct misalignment. The nervous system must learn when and how to engage the VMO, and this learning is most effective when movements are slow, deliberate, and controlled. By focusing on timing rather than intensity, older adults can achieve meaningful changes in knee function without subjecting the joint to unnecessary stress or risk of injury. The repetition becomes less about fatigue and more about neural patterning, building both coordination and confidence in movement. In addition, the coordination achieved through targeted exercises has far-reaching effects beyond the knee itself. The body functions as an integrated system, and when the VMO fires in proper timing, it influences hip and ankle stability, core engagement, and overall gait efficiency. Proper sequencing reduces compensatory tension in surrounding muscles, preventing overuse in areas such as the outer thigh, lower back, or hip flexors. This cascade of alignment and support improves both comfort and efficiency, making every step, stair, or transition feel lighter and more controlled. Older adults often report that even small improvements in timing translate to a feeling of stability that they may have thought was lost, reinforcing the idea that movement can be trusted rather than feared. There is also a reflective dimension to this concept. The process of learning to engage the VMO with proper timing encourages mindfulness in movement. Each contraction becomes an opportunity to observe how the body responds, to feel subtle shifts in alignment, and to notice improvements in stability over time. This conscious engagement reconnects the nervous system to a joint that may have been moving inefficiently for decades. Over time, the repetition of slow, coordinated activation builds a durable foundation not only for strength, but for confidence, balance, and pain-free mobility. By understanding the importance of timing and coordination, older adults can shift their approach from one of brute effort to one of intelligent precision. The second keynote reminds us that the knee is not strengthened merely by motion or repetition, but by teaching muscles to work together in harmony, at exactly the right moment, under the guidance of a nervous system that has learned to trust them. This interplay between strength, timing, and coordination forms the foundation of knee resilience and sets the stage for long-term stability, pain reduction, and the restoration of natural, fluid movement. The third keynote focuses on the principle of load and progression, which is often misunderstood, especially for those over 50. Many people assume that the way to strengthen the knee is to lift heavier weights, perform countless repetitions, or push the joint to the point of fatigue. While these approaches may build visible muscle mass, they rarely address the subtle mechanics that protect the knee and relieve pain. The VMO and surrounding stabilizers respond best not to brute force, but to controlled, precise stress that challenges the muscles without overwhelming the joint. The goal is not to tire the leg, but to teach it how to handle load efficiently and predictably. By carefully applying tension and gradually increasing the challenge, the body learns to support itself more effectively, and the knee experiences stability rather than strain. Load in this context is not about weight or volume alone, it is about specificity. Small, deliberate movements that target the VMO engage a muscle that is otherwise often overlooked. The angles of the knee, the depth of contraction, and the duration of engagement all influence how well the muscle responds. When exercises are performed thoughtfully, Each contraction teaches the nervous system how to coordinate the VMO with the rest of the quadriceps and the surrounding stabilizers. Over time, this precise activation creates a durable foundation of support for the knee, allowing it to absorb forces evenly and maintain alignment during daily activities such as walking, climbing stairs, or rising from a chair. The difference is subtle but profound. Instead of building bulk, the exercise builds intelligence and resilience within the joint. Progression is equally critical. The body responds to consistent challenge, but only if the challenge is appropriate. Too little load, and the muscle receives no stimulus. Too much, and the joint is stressed unnecessarily. Older adults often benefit most from incremental increases, whether in the duration of contraction, the angle of knee extension, or the number of repetitions. Each small progression reinforces proper activation while avoiding compensation or overuse. The nervous system begins to anticipate the correct sequence of firing, and the VMO becomes reliable in both controlled exercise and spontaneous daily movements. Pain begins to diminish, not because the joint is forced to adapt, but because the stabilizing systems are learning to function optimally. The interplay between load and progression also strengthens the mind-body connection. Many people experience frustration with exercises that feel difficult yet produce no visible results. Focusing on deliberate, precise contractions helps shift attention from external outcomes to internal feedback. The VMO is trained not only to contract, but to contract at the right moment and with the right intensity. The nervous system begins to recognize subtle improvements in stability, proprioception, and alignment. Over time, this awareness translates into greater confidence in standing, walking, and other functional movements, because the joint is supported from within rather than relying solely on external reinforcement. Additionally, this careful approach protects the knee from unnecessary stress. By gradually increasing load, the exercise avoids overloading the ligaments, cartilage, and surrounding connective tissues. The focus is on functional strength that translates into everyday activity, not the pursuit of dramatic visual muscle gain. The body learns to distribute forces evenly across the joint, reducing irritation, swelling, and stiffness. Over weeks and months, these small, incremental adjustments build resilience that allows older adults to move with greater ease, comfort, and confidence. Ultimately, the third keynote emphasizes that strengthening the knee is not a matter of effort alone, but of intelligent challenge. Controlled load, precise angles, and gradual progression teach the VMO and associated stabilizers to perform reliably. Strength emerges quietly, beneath the surface, in the coordination of muscle fibers, the activation of neural pathways, and the body's ability to respond predictably to everyday stress. This approach reshapes the experience of knee health, transforming it from fragile and reactive into stable, confident, and capable, providing a foundation for movement that is both functional and enduring. The fourth keynote emphasizes the functional translation of targeted quadriceps and VMO exercises into real-life movement, a principle that is often overlooked when focusing solely on isolated muscle strengthening. Strength in a muscle is only as meaningful as the body's ability to apply it where it counts, in standing, walking, climbing stairs, or navigating uneven surfaces. After 50, many adults discover that despite performing leg exercises, their knees still feel unstable during everyday activities. This is because the nervous system has not fully integrated the muscle activation patterns learned in isolation into the complex coordination required for functional movement. Functional translation is about bridging that gap, ensuring that the activation of the VMO and surrounding stabilizers carries over seamlessly into dynamic tasks and daily routines. One of the core reasons this translation is so important is that the knee is a joint that operates within a larger kinetic chain. Proper tracking and alignment rely not only on the VMO but also on the interaction between hip, ankle, and core muscles. When the VMO is trained in isolation, the nervous system learns the muscle's potential, but without repeated opportunities to engage it during actual functional movements, the coordination often remains compartmentalized. By deliberately linking seated or controlled exercises to functional tasks, such as standing from a chair, stepping onto a low platform, or shifting weight while walking, the brain begins to integrate the activation patterns into its motor map. This ensures that when the body encounters real-world challenges, the VMO engages automatically, guiding the patella, stabilizing the knee, and reducing the risk of misalignment or strain. Functional translation also has profound implications for proprioception, the body's internal sense of position and movement. As we age, proprioceptive feedback can become less precise, leading to subtle instability that may not be immediately noticeable. Targeted exercises that are repeated in functional contexts reinforce the nervous system's awareness of joint angles, weight distribution, and muscular tension. Each time the knee is guided through correct alignment under functional load, the nervous system strengthens the pathways that allow the VMO and quadriceps to respond predictably. This recalibration reduces hesitation during movement and enhances confidence, because the body has practiced correct coordination under conditions that mirror everyday life. Another dimension of functional translation is the psychological impact. Older adults often limit their movement because they anticipate pain or instability, which in turn reinforces weakness and maladaptive patterns. When exercises are tied to functional tasks, the repetition of successful, controlled motion builds confidence in both the body and the mind. The nervous system begins to trust the knee again, and this trust translates into smoother, more fluid movement during daily activities. Climbing stairs feels safer, walking on uneven surfaces becomes less intimidating, and transitions from sitting to standing are approached with assurance rather than caution. Each successful functional repetition reinforces the connection between muscle activation and practical, pain-free motion. Moreover, functional translation highlights the principle of efficiency in movement. It is not enough for the VMO to contract strongly in isolation. It must coordinate seamlessly with surrounding muscles to distribute forces evenly across the joint. When exercises are applied in functional contexts, the nervous system learns to orchestrate this coordination in real time, minimizing compensatory patterns that can lead to fatigue or discomfort. This integration allows the knee to absorb forces naturally, maintain alignment, and perform reliably over extended periods of activity. Strength becomes meaningful not as a static measure, but as a dynamic tool that supports freedom of movement, stability, and reduced risk of injury. Ultimately, the fourth keynote underscores that knee health is not measured solely by isolated strength, but by the translation of that strength into functional, everyday movement. The VMO and quadriceps are not just muscles to be built, they are partners in coordination, alignment, and stability. By integrating exercises into real-life tasks, the nervous system reinforces patterns that make the knee predictable, responsive, and resilient. Functional translation transforms the knowledge gained in a controlled exercise setting into practical capability, allowing older adults to move with confidence, fluidity, and comfort, turning strength into lived experience and mobility into freedom. The fifth keynote focuses on the philosophical and adaptive dimension of knee strengthening, emphasizing the remarkable capacity of the body to recover, recalibrate, and restore confidence through intentional practice. After 50, it is common for individuals to resign themselves to discomfort or perceive knee pain as an inevitable part of aging. This resignation often leads to avoidance of movement, which in turn reinforces weakness, poor alignment, and instability. Yet the body is not a static system. It is adaptive, responsive, and capable of remarkable resilience when guided thoughtfully. The VMO, though small and easily overlooked, becomes a symbol of this adaptability. By engaging it deliberately and consistently, older adults can reclaim control over a joint that may have begun to feel fragile, and can teach the nervous system that movement does not have to be feared but can be trusted. What makes this keynote profound is the focus on intentionality and awareness. The exercises are not merely mechanical repetitions, nor are they intended to exhaust the muscle visibly. Instead, each contraction is an act of communication between mind and body. The VMO is trained to fire in coordination with the rest of the quadriceps and surrounding stabilizers, but the nervous system is simultaneously learning to predict, anticipate, and support the knee during functional movement. The process of repeated, mindful activation rewires patterns that may have degraded over decades, reminding the body of its inherent capability and teaching the joint to respond predictably under load. Pain is reduced not by masking it or forcing the joint to endure strain, but by restoring the internal systems that ensure alignment, balance, and stability. This adaptive process also illuminates the subtle interplay between physical strength and neurological integration. The VMO's effectiveness is not measured solely by size or visible contraction, but by its ability to perform reliably in the context of complex, everyday movements. When the nervous system trusts the muscle to engage precisely when needed, compensatory patterns diminish, tension in surrounding structures eases, and the knee becomes a reliable hinge rather than a vulnerable joint. This trust restores fluidity, allowing transitions such as standing from a chair, navigating stairs, or walking on uneven surfaces to feel lighter and more controlled. Each successful repetition reinforces confidence, creating a feedback loop which improves stability and encourages further movement, which in turn strengthens both muscle and neurological coordination. The fifth keynote also emphasizes patience as an essential component of recovery and adaptation. Unlike younger bodies, which may respond quickly to high-intensity training, older adults often benefit most from measured, deliberate practice. Each exercise is performed with awareness, focusing on precise angles, controlled load, and coordinated contraction. Incremental progress is the rule, not the exception. Over time, these small improvements accumulate into significant functional gains. The knee regains alignment, the VMO becomes more responsive, and the nervous system develops confidence in the joint's capacity to perform reliably. The body learns that it can be trusted, and the mind learns to let go of anticipatory tension or fear associated with movement. There is also a reflective dimension embedded in this approach. Strengthening the knee through intentional VMO activation becomes not merely a physical practice, but a meditation in observation and attunement. Older adults reconnect with sensations that may have been ignored, subtle shifts in alignment, the engagement of inner stabilizers, and the feeling of the joint moving with precision and predictability. This attentiveness fosters a deeper understanding of the body as a dynamic, adaptable system, capable of restoring function and comfort even after years of neglect or wear. Each exercise is both a corrective intervention and a statement of empowerment, affirming that aging does not necessitate fragility, and that intentional, mindful practice can reclaim mobility, confidence, and resilience. Ultimately, the fifth keynote celebrates the body's capacity to adapt and the importance of purposeful engagement in rebuilding knee health. By combining strength, timing, functional translation, and consistent activation of the VMO, older adults not only alleviate pain but also rebuild trust in their own movement. This approach transforms the knee from a source of apprehension into a reliable, responsive joint, illustrating that even after 50, the body retains the potential for growth, restoration, and graceful, confident mobility. Each repetition, each contraction, becomes a testament to the body's remarkable ability to respond to care, patience, and thoughtful guidance. If you found these insights helpful and want to continue learning practical, science-backed strategies to stay healthy, strong, and vibrant as you age, don't forget to like this video, share it with friends and family who could benefit, and subscribe to our channel for daily senior wellness tips, nutrition guidance, and simple lifestyle hacks designed to enhance longevity and quality of life. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video that can help you live healthier, happier, and more empowered every day.